Hi guys, this is week 44 Project Life, and today I'm going to use these two new stamp sets from Kellie Stamps, Mama's Life and Hello You. As you can see, I've started with my photos, and on a couple of those photos I already have some digital stamps. So before we carry on, I just want to show you how I did those. So I'm just going to sneak in here for a second because I wanted to show you how I put the digital stamps onto my photos before I printed them. I've got two photos that I want to add some digital stamps to, mainly just because the stamp that I want to use it at a much larger size than the actual physical stamp. So this photo I have sized to 6x8 and I'll end up printing it on two 6x4s, but I want to fill in a little bit of the space up here. I'll probably do some clear stamping as well, but I want to add a digital stamp first. So I've got my little folder of digital PNG stamps, and I want to use the I Got Dressed Today stamp. So I'm just going to drag it into Photoshop, and you can see it's a much larger size in comparison to the actual physical stamp. So if I wanted to stamp the physical stamp on here, it would probably be about that big. So not much of a feature for me. What I want to do is just resize this so it fits up here, and I am going to print it so it's sort of sitting off the photo somehow. And I wonder about putting it over here, but I think it looks better on the left despite the fact that it's going to hit her little bum. This is poor Lily being dressed up for Halloween. Not impressed, you can see. And so the stamp here is fine and it's black. I don't think I want to print it in black because I do want to do some other stamping around it or over top of it. So I'm going to recolor that. I'm just going to go to my layers palette. So this is my my digital stamp here. And so the first thing I want to do is rasterize that layer, and then I can double click it and bring up the layer style palette. So what I want to do is just apply a color overlay, which when you click on it, you can pick any old color that you want. You can also, if you go onto your photo, you can use the eyedropper tool, and that will just give you like perfectly matched colors to your photo. So you can do anything you want like that. I quite like the lighter colors. I like the red, except it is way too bright. You can also pick a color from your photo and then obviously adjust it on the little color slider here. I don't know if I want pink or not. I quite like the pink actually. I had thought I would end up with more of like a grey tone, which actually I like better because it makes Lily in her costume stand out a little bit more. I am going to choose a slightly warmer toned grey just to sort of match in with her fur, but I think that looks good to me. So I can go ahead and print that one. The other photo I've got is just a 4x6 photo, and I basically want to do the exact same thing. I'm going to use one of the Hello You stamps, and I want to do big fat yes to this, and again it's much larger than it would be on stamping on clear. So I actually just really like the size that it is. I might make that a tiny bit smaller just so I don't lose it when I print it, and I want to do the same thing as just play around with the colors, just because the black is really dark and I'm wondering about whether a white might look better, just so the digital stamp's still there but it's not white as in your face maybe. Yeah, I think I prefer the white to anything else. I'm just going to drag it to white and go okay, and then I can go ahead and print those two photos. Radio, so I've really only got 3 other spots to fill on this page. I've got my photo enlargement and a whole bunch of sort of full pocket photos. So I've got 2 3x4 spots and my title card spot. So what I did was go through my stash and pick out some 12x12 papers that I thought might work. It's a fairly bright, colourful kind of photo layout this week, so I kind of wanted to keep the paper a bit more neutral, but sort of plainer, so I've kind of gone for more grid type designs. There is that colourful rainbow sort of stripe from Amy Tangerine in there, which I thought might work, but I put this grey one in, the grey grid, and I've got this paper from Heidi Swap. Both of those I thought worked really well, I just wasn't sure which one, so I ended up cutting both of them. I've just cut both pieces of paper down to 6x4s, just so I can see. It's going to be easier to tell what's going to work at this size rather than trying to work with a 12x12 piece of paper. And I thought that I would end up probably with more of those grey grid ones, but I actually kind of like the more subtle pattern, subtle colour of the Heidi Swap paper. So I'm going to use the top left corner of that paper for my title card up there. I'd normally shy away from having such a large element as well as my weekly title, but because I've got those larger digital stamps on a couple of my photos, it kind of balances everything out having the large word of details up there. And so the bottom card here, I'm lucky that I left it at 4x6, to be honest, because I forgot that this is a 4x6 pocket. I just printed a 3x4 photo to go in it, just to balance out the photo enlargement. So having that 4x6 paper means I can glue my 3x4 photo onto there and still have a spot for my smaller square photo, but it will not flop around in the pocket. It's going to be all nice and secure. So that's the basics for my page this week. Now I'm going to do some actual stamping. I really love this technique of layering digital and clear stamps. I think there's an advantage to both. I really love digital stamps for the ability to do what I've done today, which is increase the size of them and make them more impressive on the page, and also alter the colors to suit. I mean, it would be really hard to stamp any stamp really that white on that bottom photo down there. So using a digital stamp just makes things really easy, and then I get to layer the stamps on top of them, which is what I'm going to do here. I just put the backing sheet down from one of the stamp sets. This has been one of my favorite techniques lately to sort of test out a stamp on the actual photo I'm going to stamp on. Easy to just put the stamp backing down and then place your stamps on top. You're not going to accidentally stick anything to the photo. You just get to see how it looks, which is what I've done there. I just added 3 stamps on top of the digital stamp, just filling in the space of that photo, and I just stamped all of those in my Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm going to kind of do the same thing to both these 2 little square photos here. I'm going to stamp sentiment underneath the photo in the same black as well. I'm going to use the black as a bit of a consistency thing on this page. There are a few darker spots in those photos as well as those brighter pops of colour, so I'm going to use the black ink as a little bit of a focal point. And then I do want to do some additional stamping on here with this Kings Park Alpha from Kellie Stamps, still one of my favourites. I like the blockiness of it, and I really wanted to be able to stamp in a coloured ink. So I've already layered my digital and clear stamps, and now I want to layer black and coloured stamps. So I wasn't sure whether to use a more, it's called Peaches, it's a peach coloured ink, but I guess in this context it kind of looks more like a faded red, so I wasn't sure whether to go for this faded red look or an actual red. So I did try out both colours of ink on just a scrap paper just to see what I thought, and in the end I did go with the peach one. And you can see what I'm doing, I'm just adding to the sentiments underneath, just stamping an additional word just to kind of change the meaning of the stamp. So the first stamp says, "I got this," which I did. I got this free. So I've added the word free. We got a free milkshake one day. I'm still not sure what the reason was, but the guy just gave it to us, decided not to judge us, and we weren't going to say no to that. And the other one is just, I've been so riddled with allergies lately. So it says right now, ugh, so many pills to try and make it so I can breathe during the day and not scratch myself to pieces. So easy to just layer up those stamps to create the meaning that I need for them. Now I love that I run on coffee and chaos. It's especially pertinent having put it on that photo there, where I actually specifically stopped working, sat down on the floor, stretched my legs out, had a coffee, and read a book for a little bit. So I love that stamp, stamped in the middle of my coffee cup. And again, down the bottom, I have layered another stamp on top of my digital stamps. Hello Beautiful, those were all the Traveler's Notebook covers that I've been making. Just love those things, so simple. I've had a couple of different videos where I've talked about those, but I'm obsessed with them. Now I had one more photo down the bottom here where I wanted to add some stamps, and the stamp says, "Mama here don't care." I'm not a mama, but I don't care. So I chopped the stamp in half. I have no problem cutting those clear stamps, as you're well aware. They fit back together perfectly if you ever need them to, so just really carefully cut those stamps up. Pair of scissors will go through them, no problem at all. Now working on my title card, and I'm back with my Bolton Street numbers again because they're awesome. I've just kind of roughly worked out where I want everything to go so that it kind of is going to overlap the word detail, and again I'm going to mix those colors of ink. So I've stamped 44 in the black because that's the most important part, and then I'm going to stamp Week with that same Kings Park Alpha in the same Peaches ink just along the bottom. And having that detail already printed on the page there, it just kind of gave me a place to like put a cluster of stamping, and that's basically all I'm going to do for my title card. Now on the Mama Life stamp set, there is a label, sort of a square box label. It was not going to fit my date stamping in it, so what I attempted to do was to partially ink the stamp up, just leaving off one end, and then do the same thing with the opposite end and try really hard to line it up. Didn't quite work. Probably if I wasn't filming, I could have got my head straight over the top of it and it would have lined up a little bit better, but it is what it is. I obviously can't redo this card again because that's a pattern paper I only have one of, so I'm just going with it. I'm going to add my date stamp directly into the little box, straight onto my paper. Just using that stamp backing sheet, really handy, those little pieces of acetate, just to mask it off there. Add my little heart, and that's my title card done. It's effectively my whole layout done, but I sort of stood back and was like, I just want to add something else. So I have these tiny little puffy heart stickers that Sammy sent me in a Happy Mail swap, so I have zero idea what the brand is. I'm desperate to find out actually because they are gorgeous. They're so tiny, they're so soft, they're so beautiful. And I basically use up all the red ones, just sprinkling them around my page. I love the little extra pop of color it gives and just a tiny bit of texture to an otherwise pretty flat page, but this page feels really different to me. I love how the colors turned out. It's definitely not my normal color palette, and it just works really nicely. Now, like I said, both of these stamp sets are available in store at Kellie Stamps right now, and if you check out the description box, I have got a discount code for you to get you 10% off your order. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen, or why not check out my Patreon page, there are even more videos over there. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye!